when somebody was, if somebody was getting into ventriloquism, what is the best advice you would give them on this career, this art?
Wow. Be funny. Okay. That's probably the most important thing. Try to get the technique down right, you know, and that's the other most important thing, because that's the first thing that the audience is going to look for. Unless you're so screamingly funny, they don't care if you're. I mean, if you look at Waylon Flowers and Madam, he was not a ventriloquist, but he was a really good puppeteer. He was good at doing the character, and hearing that voice. I mean, the voice sounded like an old woman, you know, and he really pulled that off. And he was funny, you know. He really had a, you know, not give a you know what attitude, you know, about what the puppet said, you know, screamingly funny. But I think really a modern audience, they expect to see some practiced technique, you know, in addition to the comedy. I mean, if you have one without the other, you might get away with it, but probably not.
And you just mentioned practice. What did practice do for you?
Once home video became a lot more readily available, it made a big difference, because mirror practice is great, but you have to watch it as you're doing it, so it's hard to be like really totally objective about it. When the first time I was able to videotape myself and look at it and say, what the hell am I doing? You know, it was like, wow, I never noticed that when I was doing the mirror stuff, because now you're watching it as a third person, you know, and that made a huge difference, and I think that's the only way to go anymore. You know, videotape yourself and hate the first couple times you see it, and it'll cure cure the little tics or whatever pretty quickly. You know, I found I actually had a tick in my shoulder. You know, I was doing this a lot, you know, and I was like, wow, nobody ever mentioned that to me, you know. So, yeah.
I watch these back, and I notice that I look like a dog because I agree with everything everybody says. You know, I follow into it. And it's like, yeah, this is.
The other thing, I'll add one more thing though, is as far as the technique goes, I realized that whenever the dummy was talking, my mouth would go into a very specific position, and that kind of bothered me a little bit, you know. So that's where I kind of changed my technique a little bit, and just try to totally relax, and it's actually easier if you totally relax and not even think about the lip movement. You probably won't move if you're not nervous about it, you know. That's the best way I could explain it, and it really changed. Really changed the way my performance looked, because then at that point it made me more conscious about the interaction from an acting standpoint. You know, I never, even though I was a theater major, when I went back to doing ventriloquism again, I didn't combine the two. The one was different than the other, and finally I just said, well, no, it's not different. I mean, it's all the same. You're playing two characters, so you really have to be two characters. So, you know, if you're always looking at the dummy when he's talking and not reacting at all, that doesn't look good either, you know, even if your technique is good. So that's when I started being more conscious about reacting to what the dummy is saying while he's saying it, you know. Not be afraid to look away, or be shrugging my shoulders when he's doing something, or having a look of confusion on my face when he's saying it. It's a little thing, but I don't know. It made a big difference for me to notice that.
That's a great share, and I appreciate you sharing that with everyone.